The courtyard is chaos, metal clanging, boots sliding on wet stone, men shouting over each other in clipped, disciplined voices that still sound like panic. The black stallion rears so high his hooves carve the air, and for a second it looks less like an animal and more like a myth with a heartbeat. Rain slicks his coat into a mirror. Every muscle in his shoulders ripples under the thin sheen of water, and his eyes, too bright, too aware, catch the light from the security lamps like he's daring the world to touch him. 15 guards have formed a desperate half-circle around him. 15. Thick leather gloves, 2 chains, a heavy halter, years of weapons training, and the kind of loyalty that doesn't ask questions. It means nothing. He jerks sideways, powerful as an engine, and one of the guards hits the ground hard enough that the sound makes my stomach twist. The horse's scream splits the air, raw and furious, and my breath catches, because it's the exact kind of sound you make when you know you're trapped. I'm not supposed to be here. I'm supposed to be inside, polishing the brass rails in the east hallway, keeping my head down, being the invisible kind of employee rich men forget to look at. But I'm standing at the edge of the covered walkway with my apron damp against my thighs, one hand hovering near my belly, as if I can physically shield the life inside me from the violence outside. And then I feel it, that sudden shift. The way the air changes when someone important arrives without needing to announce himself. I look up. He's on the second-floor balcony, just under the overhang, dry despite the rain. He doesn't move like the other men. He doesn't lean forward. He doesn't shout instructions. He simply watches. A man in a dark coat tailored so perfectly it looks like it was made from silence. Hair neat, rein untouched. A face that could be handsome if it weren't so unreadable, if it weren't carved into restraint so deep it feels like a threat. His gaze lands on the horse first, calm and cold. Then it slides to me, and it's like the world narrows into one sharp line, him seeing me when I've spent months perfecting the art of not being seen. My throat goes dry, because everyone knows what he is, the owner of this estate, the man whose name the staff never says aloud, the man the guards call Sir, with something like fear, something like devotion, the Mafia boss, and for reasons I don't understand yet, reasons my survival instincts beg me not to discover, he's looking at me like I'm part of the problem, or part of the solution. The stallion slams down again, hooves striking stone. Another guard stumbles back, cursing under his breath. The horse's nostrils flare as he tosses his head, foam spraying like a warning. My baby shifts inside me, small and insistent, and my hand presses to my belly before I can stop it. I should go. I should turn around and walk back inside and pretend I didn't see any of this, but I don't, because the horse's eyes meet mine for one strange, suspended second, and in them I see something that feels too familiar. Not rage, fear, and I know fear. I've lived with it long enough to recognize its shape even when it's wearing a monster's body. I take a step forward. A guard notices and snaps, "Ma'am, don't!" I'm not a ma'am. I'm staff. I'm the maid who changes sheets and scrubs marble that costs more than my entire life. But his voice makes it clear he doesn't care what I am. He cares what I might become. Collateral. I take another step anyway, my shoes slipping slightly on the wet stone. My heart is hammering so hard it feels like it might bruise my ribs from the inside. Above me, on the balcony, the Mafia boss finally moves. Just a fraction, one hand lifting, slow and controlled, as if he's deciding whether to stop me or let me do it. Scene 1, mandatory. The first meeting, fully developed. "Stop," the guard repeats, louder. "You can't." "I can," I say, and it shocks me how steady my voice sounds. The words come out before I've fully decided to speak them. "I can try." The guard closest to me looks like he's about to argue. He's tall, broad, his suit stretched over shoulders built for violence. A small earpiece curls behind his ear. His jaw flexes as he glances up toward the balcony, seeking permission. Permission. For everything. That alone should make me turn around. Instead, I look at the horse again. The stallion's tack is half wrong, twisted from the struggle. One chain is looped too close to the bit, biting into the corner of his mouth. No wonder he's fighting. Pain isn't a language animals negotiate with. The horse throws his head hard enough that the metal rings snap. His ears pin flat, his front hooves scrape stone like he's measuring distance. My skin prickles with the awareness that he could kill me without meaning to. I take one more step and force myself to breathe through my nose. Wet air, leather, rain-slick stone. The sharp tang of adrenaline, mine and theirs. I keep my hands visible, palms open. Easy, I whisper, not to the guards, not to the man watching from above, to the animal. He shifts, startled by the softness. His eyes flick to my hands, then to my face, and then he pauses, just enough to tell me he's listening. That tiny pause feels like a miracle. Behind me, boots splash. Someone grabs my arm. "Miss, I swear to God, don't touch me," I say. I don't raise my voice. I don't need to. There's something in me right now that feels older than fear. The hand releases instantly, as if my words carry authority they shouldn't. I swallow, tasting metal. I'm aware of my body in a way that's almost painful. The weight of my belly, the strain in my lower back, the tightness in my chest. Pregnant maids don't belong in courtyards full of men with guns. And yet here I am. I inch closer, eyes never leaving the horse. "Sweet boy," I whisper, though I don't know if he's sweet. I don't know if he's ever been allowed to be sweet. "You're hurting. I can see it. You're not bad. You're just—" The stallion snorts sharply, stamping once. I freeze immediately, letting him set the pace. I've handled nervous horses before, back when my life was smaller, when my biggest worry was whether my landlord would fix the leaking sink, not whether I'd be fired for stepping out of line in a criminal's estate. I grew up near stables. My aunt worked them. I cleaned stalls for pocket money. I learned quickly that fear is contagious. If you carry it, they smell it. So I force mine down. It doesn't disappear. It just compresses into something quieter. I extend my hand slowly, stopping before I cross the invisible boundary of his panic. He breathes hard, warm clouds in the cold rain. His eyes soften by 1/2 degree. I take another careful half step. Now I'm close enough to see the foam at his mouth, the rawness at the bit, the tremble under his skin. He's not trying to be evil. He's trying to survive. "You're okay," I whisper. "No one's going to hurt you." A laugh, one short, sharp sound, cuts through the air. Not from the guards, from above. My head snaps up before I can stop myself. The Mafia boss has leaned forward slightly, elbows resting on the balcony rail like he's watching theater. His expression isn't amused exactly. It's curious. His eyes are dark, and from this angle they look almost black. He has the kind of gaze that doesn't just see you, it measures you, like you're a door and he's deciding how hard to kick. He speaks, and his voice carries down easily, as if the rain respects him. "You think you can promise what you can't control?" My throat tightens. The words hit a nerve I didn't know was exposed. I don't answer immediately, because any answer feels like a mistake. The guards fall quiet. Even the horse seems to hold still, as if listening. I force myself to look back at the stallion. "I can try," I say again, but this time my voice is directed upward. "He's in pain." One of the guards mutters, "He's always like this when—" "Silence," another guard snaps. A single word, but it lands like a command. Like they're terrified the wrong sentence might entertain their boss. The man on the balcony tilts his head slightly. He's young enough to surprise me, mid-30s maybe. Not old, not wrinkled into power. Power sits on him like it belongs there. His coat is dark, probably wool, the collar turned up. Under it, a crisp shirt, no tie, a watch at his wrist that catches a flash of light. Expensive, understated. Nothing about him screams. Everything about him warns. "You," he says, "what's your name?" The question should be simple. It isn't, because names are how people become real, and in this house being real is dangerous. Still, my mouth opens. "Evelyn," I say. It's the truth. It tastes like surrender. His gaze holds. "Evelyn." he repeats, as if testing the syllables, as if deciding whether my name is useful. Then, without raising his voice, he speaks to someone beside him, someone I hadn't noticed in the shadows. "Get down there." A man steps into view. Older, lean, with a face like carved stone and eyes that don't blink enough. He wears a suit, but it's the kind of suit men wear when they expect blood on the cuffs. He disappears down the stairs. My pulse spikes. I don't know why, but my instincts scream. The boss looks back down at me. "Do it," he says, almost casually. "Calm him. It's not a request. It's a test." I look at the horse again because the alternative is looking at the man who might ruin my life with a thought. I exhale slowly. "Okay," I whisper. I move closer, inch by inch, until I'm close enough to feel the heat rolling off the stallion's body like a furnace. He flinches as I reach for the leather at his cheek, then stops. He lets me touch him. The contact sends a shock up my arm. His skin twitches under my palm, sweat and rain and fear. I slide my fingers carefully along the strap. "Easy," I murmur. "I'm going to fix it, all right? I'm going to make it stop hurting." The stallion's breath hitches. His ears flick forward. I can feel the guards holding their breath behind me. I adjust the chain slowly, carefully, freeing it from where it's biting too hard. The horse tosses his head once, small this time, not violent. I keep my hand steady on his cheek. I let him feel that I'm not yanking, not punishing. He exhales, a long, shuddering breath. It's the first real sign of surrender I've seen. I stroke his neck, fingers sinking into the sleek, wet hair. The muscle under my touch is immense, alive. "There you go," I whisper. "You're okay. You're safe." Safe. The word tastes like a lie in this place, but the horse believes me. Or he wants to. His head lowers by an inch, then another. The guards shift, uncertain, like men watching a bomb decide not to go off. I take the opportunity and slide the halter into a better position. I check the bit. I smooth the strap. The stallion stands still tense, still ready to explode, but no longer actively trying to kill everyone around him. A low murmur spreads through the guards, disbelief mixed with relief. Someone whispers, "Jesus!" I keep stroking the horse's neck because if I stop, fear might rush back in. My baby moves again, and my hand drifts instinctively to my belly for a second, an absent-minded gesture. I don't realize I've done it until I hear the Mafia boss speak again. "Pregnant." It isn't a question. My whole body goes hot and cold at once. I freeze with my palm on the horse, as if I've been caught doing something illegal. My throat tightens. I don't look up. "Yes," I say quietly. There's a pause. A heavy one. The kind that carries consequences. Then the boss's voice drops lower, and somehow it still reaches me like a blade sliding between ribs. "Whose?" The horse shifts, sensing my tension. I stroke him faster, trying to calm both of us. I swallow hard. "It doesn't matter," I say. A laugh again, this time not amused, sharp, controlled. "It matters to me," he says. I lift my eyes to the balcony finally, and the moment I meet his gaze, I regret it. Because his stare isn't just curiosity anymore, it's possession sharpened into interest, like he's found a loose thread and wants to see what happens when he pulls. The older man, the one who came down the stairs, appears at the edge of the courtyard, moving with quiet authority. Guards step aside for him without being told. He stops a few feet away, eyes on the stallion, then on me. His gaze is assessing, clinical. Then he looks up to the balcony. A silent exchange passes between them. A nod. Permission. The older man speaks to me. "You should step back now." I don't. Not immediately, because the horse is calm, calmer, and I can feel how fragile it is, like a truce that could shatter if someone moves wrong. "I need 1 minute," I say. He studies me, then the horse, then my belly, because now everyone is looking at my belly as if it's a weapon or a weakness. "You have 30 seconds. I stroke the stallion's neck and lower my voice again. "Good boy. Stay." Slowly, I step back, keeping my hand grazing his skin until the last possible moment. The second my hand leaves him, the cold rain feels harsher. The guards tighten their grip again, but they move carefully now, reverent in a way they weren't before. The older man turns to me. "Come with me." My spine stiffens. I glance toward the covered walkway, the safety of inside, the anonymity of chores, but the balcony above feels like a spotlight. The Mafia boss watches everything. I force my voice to stay even. "I have work?" The older man's expression doesn't change. "You will come with me." 5 words, no anger, no threat. And yet my skin crawls with the certainty that I'm not being offered a choice. I take a slow breath. I tell myself to be smart. I tell myself to survive. My hand drifts again to my belly, protective. Then I follow. As we walk under the archway toward the interior of the estate, I hear the stallions breathing behind me, steady now, controlled. I should feel proud. Instead, I feel like I just stepped onto a path that doesn't lead back to the life I had yesterday. The hallway smells like polished wood and old money, faint citrus from cleaning solution layered over something deeper. Leather, tobacco, cologne that clings to velvet curtains. The older man leads me to a sitting room off the main corridor. Formal, quiet, designed for conversations that don't end well. A fire burns low in the hearth. The room is warm enough to make my damp clothes cling uncomfortably. My hair drips onto my collar. He gestures to a chair. I don't sit immediately. I've learned something in my life. Sitting first is how you become smaller. The older man watches me, patient. Then he speaks softly, almost politely. "Evelyn, yes?" "Yes." "You have been employed here for how long?" "6 months." "Before that?" My jaw tightens. "I worked at a hotel." He nods as if he already knows. "You have handled horses before?" "Some," I say. "Not like that." "Not like him," he agrees. A pause. Then the older man leans forward slightly. "Why?" he asks. "Did you risk your life?" My mouth goes dry. I could lie, but the air in this house feels allergic to lies. "He was hurting," I say, "and everyone was making it worse." The older man's eyes narrow, faint approval, or suspicion. "You think our men are incompetent." "I think pain makes animals dangerous," I say carefully, "and fear makes men clumsy." For the first time, the older man smiles. It's not warm, it's not kind, it's the smile of someone who appreciates a sharp blade. "You are brave," he says, "or foolish." "Those two look similar from the outside," I reply before I can stop myself. Silence. My heart thuds. I've spoken out of turn. I know I have. The older man's smile fades. He studies me as if he's recalculating. Then, from somewhere behind me, a voice cuts in. Low, smooth, and close enough that my skin jumps. "She's neither." I spin. He's there. The Mafia boss stands in the doorway like he's always belonged there, like the room rearranged itself to make space for him. He's taller than I expected, broader through the shoulders. His coat is gone now, leaving a dark shirt open at the throat, sleeves rolled to his forearms. I notice his hands first. Strong, clean, a faint scar across one knuckle. The kind of hands that can sign documents and break bones without changing rhythm. His eyes meet mine, and something inside me, something stupid and human, goes still, because his gaze isn't loud, it's absolute. The older man inclines his head. "Boss." The boss doesn't look away from me. "Leave us." The older man hesitates, only a fraction, then exits without a word, closing the door behind him. The click of the latch sounds final. I'm alone in a room with him. My throat tightens. I force myself to speak first, because silence feels like surrender. "Sir," he lifts a hand, stopping the word. "Don't." One syllable, command disguised as calm. He takes a slow step forward. The firelight catches the angles of his face, the controlled set of his mouth. His scent reaches me, clean soap layered with something darker, woody, expensive. He stops at a distance that's polite on paper and dangerous in reality. You calmed my horse, he says. I fixed his tack, I correct softly. He calmed himself. His eyes narrow slightly as if he didn't expect humility, or as if humility irritates him. And you disobeyed my men, he says. You walked into a situation that could have killed you. I swallow. Yes. A pause. He tilts his head, studying me the way he studied the courtyard, like he's searching for the flaw. Why? Because I couldn't watch something suffer. Because I know what helpless looks like. Because I'm tired of being small. Because the world already took too much from me. But I don't say any of that. Instead I say, because someone had to. His mouth twitches, not quite a smile. Someone had to, he repeats, like he's tasting the simplicity. He steps closer by one quiet pace. My body reacts before my brain does. Heat in my cheeks, a tightness low in my abdomen that I resent instantly. I'm pregnant. I'm supposed to be beyond this, beyond noticing men like him. But my body doesn't care what I'm supposed to be. His eyes drop, briefly, to my belly, then back up. Whose child is it? He asks again. I keep my voice level. Mine. His gaze sharpens. That's not what I asked. I won't discuss it, I say. He holds my stare for a long moment, then walks past me, slowly, circling like the room belongs to him, and so does the air in my lungs. I turn to keep him in sight. He stops near the fireplace, the heat outlining him in gold. You work in my house, he says. You touch my things. You move through my corridors when my family sleeps. You saw my horse lose control in front of my men, and you're carrying a child that does not have protection. My stomach clenches. Protection, I echo. He looks at me then, and it's the first time his expression shifts into something sharper than curiosity. In my world, he says, voice low, pregnant women are used, pressured, taken apart piece by piece because people assume they're too soft to fight back. My skin prickles. I try to keep my voice steady. I can fight back. His eyes flick to my hands. With what? Silence stretches. The fire pops softly. Rain taps the window, and I realize, with a sinking heaviness, that he isn't just interrogating me, he's assessing whether I'm a liability or an opportunity. I lift my chin. I'm not your business. His gaze holds mine, unblinking. Everything under my roof, he says, is my business. Everything under my roof is my business. His words settle into the room like smoke, quiet, unavoidable, clinging to the back of my throat. I force myself not to step back. If I move away, I'll admit he has the right to make me flinch. The fire crackles in the hearth. Rain continues tapping the window in steady, patient rhythm, like the night is counting down to something. I'm an employee, I say, not a possession. He watches me as if I've just said something interesting in a language he hasn't heard in a long time. Employees are still part of my operation, he replies, and operations require clarity. My stomach tightens. I don't know if it's fear or the baby shifting or both. I don't understand what you want, I say carefully. He takes a slow step closer, not aggressive, not rushed, controlled, like he's calibrating how much space he can take without me noticing he's taking it. I want the truth, he says, and I want it now. I swallow. About what? His gaze flicks to my belly again, brief, precise, then returns to my face. About why you're here, he says. About how a woman with your condition ends up cleaning my floors. Heat rises up my neck. Shame tries to climb with it, and I shove it back down. I've survived on less dignity than this. I refuse to let him make me feel small with a single question. I need money, I say. It's not a mystery. His eyes narrow slightly. Money for what? I hold his stare. To live. That's an answer, he says, but it's not the one I asked for. I inhale slowly through my nose, forcing my voice steady. Money for rent, I say, for prenatal appointments, for groceries, for everything that gets more expensive when you're doing it alone. The words are too honest. I regret them as soon as they leave my mouth. Because honesty is a door, and men like him don't knock. They walk through. He tilts his head. Alone. My mouth tightens. He circles again, just enough movement to keep me off balance. His presence is strangely silent. No clink of jewelry, no heavy footsteps. He's trained his body to take space without announcing it. I track him with my eyes. I said I won't discuss it, I repeat. His expression doesn't change, but the air does, like the temperature drops a single degree. You will, he says, voice low. If I ask you a question, you answer. A pulse of anger flares in me, sharp and unexpected. I've spent my whole adult life being ordered around by people who think my circumstances make me weak. Landlords, managers, men who smile while they corner you. I'm tired. My hand presses briefly to my belly, grounding myself. And if I don't? I ask. He stops moving. The stillness is worse than the pacing. If you don't, he says, then I have to assume you're hiding something that threatens my household. My heartbeat stutters. I'm not a threat. Everyone is a threat, he replies, until they prove otherwise. I let out a short breath that's almost a laugh, but there's no humor in it. What do you think I am? I ask. An assassin? A spy? A woman with a mop is going to take down your empire? His eyes hold mine, unblinking. I think, he says, that you walked into a storm without hesitation, and that tells me you're either stupid or brave. He said it earlier through his man. He's saying it again now, like he's still deciding. I lift my chin. Maybe I'm both. For the first time, something flickers at the corner of his mouth, an expression that could have been a smile in a different world. He steps closer again, close enough that I can smell him clearly now. Clean soap, expensive cologne with a dark, woody base and something metallic underneath that makes my skin prickle. Gun oil, leather, maybe the memory of blood. My pulse kicks. I hate my body for noticing. I asked you whose child it is, he says softly, and you avoided it. It's not your concern. It becomes my concern when it creates leverage, he says. The word hits hard. Leverage. In my world, that's a business term. In his, it's a weapon. I force myself to stay calm. No one knows I work here, I say. I keep my life separate. He studies me. Do you? It's not phrased like a question. It's an accusation wearing a period. I feel my skin tighten, like I'm standing too close to a flame. What does that mean? I ask. He takes his time answering, like he enjoys making me wait. It means, he says, you're careful. And careful people are rarely desperate enough to take jobs in houses like mine unless something pushed them. I swallow. My mouth is dry. I applied. I got hired. Why here? He presses. Why this estate, this location, this security? You could have cleaned in a hotel again. You could have found work in a dozen places that don't involve armed men in the hallways. Because a hotel manager tried to trap me in a supply closet when I was 3 months pregnant, and I realized I couldn't afford to lose my job by reporting him. Because I needed somewhere with strict rules that even predators obey. Because predators fear bigger predators. Because your men don't touch staff without permission. Because I thought your reputation would keep me safe. I don't say any of it. Instead, I say the simplest truth I can live with. Because it pays, I answer. His gaze drops to my hands. Show me, he says. I blink. Show you what? He nods toward the chair I didn't sit in. Sit, he says. My shoulders tense. I hate commands. I hate the way my body wants to comply before my pride catches up. I force myself to move, slow and deliberate, and sit in the chair without looking away from him. The upholstery is too soft, too expensive, swallowing me slightly. It makes me feel smaller than standing did. I hate it. He remains standing. He looks like a judge who doesn't need a bench because the entire room is his courtroom. Your hands, he says. Put them out. My stomach clenches. This is ridiculous, humiliating. But there's something in his eyes that tells me refusal isn't a victory. It's a provocation. I extend my hands into the space between us. He steps closer and takes them. His touch is warm, firm, utterly confident. My breath catches, not because it's intimate, though it is, in a way that makes my skin hum, but because it's so normal, so practical, like he's checking a tool he plans to use. His thumb brushes over the pads of my fingers, calluses, from scrubbing, from carrying buckets, from work that doesn't show up in polite conversations. He studies the roughness with almost clinical focus. "Not soft," he murmurs. My face heats. "I work." "I see that," he says. He releases my hands slowly, like he's aware of the effect he's having and doesn't care. I flex my fingers, trying to shake off the sensation. "Now," he says, "tell me about the father." My patience snaps. "No," I say flatly. His gaze lifts, dark, measuring. "You think you can refuse me," he says. "I know I can refuse you," I reply. "I do it all the time. I refuse landlords. I refuse men who think no is a negotiation. I refuse my mother when she tries to make my choices for me. I'm still here." There's a beat of silence after that. I feel my own pulse in my throat. I've just confessed more than I intended. He doesn't react the way I expect. No anger, no punishment. He leans a fraction closer, voice quiet enough that it feels like he's speaking directly into my bloodstream. "Your mother," he repeats. "So she's alive." My stomach drops. "Why are you tracking my family?" I demand. His eyes hold mine. "I track everything," he says. "You live in my house." My mind races. If he's investigated me, he knows my full name, my history, the parts I buried. He knows too much. And the worst part is that I can't even be surprised. This is how men like him survive. Still, the fear in me sharpens into something colder. "What do you want from me?" I ask. He studies me for a long moment. Then he says something I don't expect. "I want to know if you're a risk," he answers, "and if you are, whose risk you are." My skin prickles. "That doesn't make sense," I whisper. "It will," he says. He turns toward the door, and for a second I think he's done, that he's finished dissecting me and I can go back to being invisible. But before he reaches the handle, he looks over his shoulder. "Tell me one thing, Evelyn," he says. I swallow hard. "What?" "Did you know whose house you applied to?" he asks. A question with a trap in it. If I say no, I look like a liar or a fool. If I say yes, I look like someone who sought him out. I force myself to answer carefully. "I knew," I say. "I also knew your staff don't get harassed, not here." His gaze narrows, just slightly. "And you assumed my reputation would protect you," he says. It's not a question. My throat tightens. I refuse to deny it. "Yes," I say. For a moment, something dark crosses his face, like irritation or satisfaction. "Smart," he murmurs, "or desperate." "Both," I say again, because I'm too stubborn to let him have the last word. His eyes hold mine. Then he opens the door. "Good," he says, "because now you're under my protection." My heart slams. "That's not—" I start. The door closes behind him, and the latch clicks again, final as a verdict. I sit there for 3 full breaths, staring at the wood grain of the door like it might explain what just happened. Under his protection. My first instinct is relief, shameful, unwanted relief, because protection is what I've been missing without admitting it. My second instinct is panic, because protection from a man like him is never free. And my third instinct is something worse, curiosity, because when he looked at me, it wasn't the way rich men look at staff. It was the way hunters look at a strange animal they can't decide whether to kill or keep. I press my palm to my belly. "I'm sorry," I whisper to the baby. "I'm trying." The baby shifts, as if answering, and somewhere outside this room, the estate continues breathing, quiet, watchful, built to hide secrets inside marble walls. I don't get to leave on my own. 2 guards arrive 10 minutes later, polite, expressionless, immovable. One of them says, "Miss Evelyn, please come with us." The word "please" is decorative, like the art in the hallway, expensive, pretty, not meant to be questioned. I stand slowly, my back stiff from the chair, my damp clothes still clinging. "Am I in trouble?" I ask. Neither guard answers directly. "You're being relocated," one says. My stomach flips. Relocated. As if I'm furniture. I try to keep my voice calm. "To where?" The guard's gaze flicks away, a sign of discomfort. "To a safer wing," he says. "Orders." My pulse spikes. From him. This time, the guard nods. I should refuse. I should demand my paycheck and leave. I should run out the gate and never look back. But my body feels heavy, like the house has already wrapped itself around my life, and under the fear there's that humiliating relief again. Safer. For the baby. I follow. They take me through corridors I've never cleaned. The estate has public spaces, hallways staff use, formal rooms we polish, kitchens and laundry areas that smell like bleach and steam. And then it has private arteries, quieter corridors, thicker carpets, walls lined with old portraits whose eyes seem to track me as I pass. The lighting is softer here, warmer. The air smells like cedar and expensive cologne lingering in drapes. I keep my hands clasped in front of me so I don't touch anything. I'm not sure if that's respect or self-defense. We stop in front of a door with a keypad. One guard punches in a code. The lock clicks. My spine tightens. The guard opens the door and gestures. Inside. I step in and immediately feel the difference. This room is not for staff. The bed is enormous, covered in dark linen. A sitting area by the window holds a leather chair and a low table with a half-finished glass of amber liquid. Books line a shelf, hardcovers, worn spines, not decorative. The room smells like him, not just cologne, something deeper, lived in. Clean soap, leather, and that faint metallic edge that makes my skin prickle. My pulse jumps. The guard says, "You'll stay here tonight." I turn, alarmed. "Tonight? Why?" "Security issue," he replies. My throat goes dry. "What security issue?" The guard hesitates, just long enough to tell me he knows more than he's allowed to say. "All I know is orders," he says finally. "Food will be brought. If you need anything, press that button." He points to a small device on the wall, discreet. Then he steps out and closes the door. I hear the lock engage. The sound is soft. The meaning is not. I rush to the door and try the handle, locked. My breath turns shallow. I'm not a prisoner. I'm not. My mind catches on the obvious truth. I'm in the Mafia boss's private wing, in a locked room that smells like him, and no one asked if I consented to being relocated. I press my forehead to the cool wood of the door, forcing myself to breathe. Okay. Think. If they wanted to hurt me, they wouldn't put me in an expensive room. They wouldn't bring me closer. They'd make me disappear quietly. That thought is supposed to comfort me. It doesn't. Because hurt isn't always physical. Sometimes it's the slow dismantling of your choices. I turn away from the door, scanning the room like I'm collecting evidence. The window is large but sealed. Heavy drapes frame it. Outside, rain blurs the courtyard lights into soft halos. I walk to the bed and run my fingers lightly over the linen. Smooth, cool. A wardrobe stands near the bathroom. The bathroom door is slightly ajar. I step inside. Marble, chrome fixtures, towels folded with perfect edges, a shower large enough for 3 people. My cheeks heat at the thought, and I hate myself for it. I'm alone, locked in his space, and my mind still has the nerve to notice luxury. I return to the bedroom and sit carefully on the edge of the bed. The mattress dips under me, soft and supportive, like it's designed to hold someone important. Not me. My baby shifts again. I rub my belly slowly. "I'm okay," I whisper. "We're okay." The words sound like a prayer. A knock comes at the door. My head snaps up. "Miss Evelyn," a woman's voice calls. "May I come in?" Relief floods through me so hard it makes me dizzy. At least it's not a man with a gun. "Yes," I say quickly. The door unlocks and opens, and a maid steps in carrying a tray. She's older than me. Hair pinned neatly, expression careful. She looks around the room, then back at me. Her eyes flick to my belly. Then she gives me a small, sympathetic smile. They told me you're staying here, she says quietly. They didn't tell me, I reply. Her smile fades. She sets the tray on the table near the chair. I'm sorry, she murmurs. It's not usually like this. What is it usually like? I ask. She hesitates. I can see the code in her posture, the way staff learn to speak around danger. Quiet, she says finally. Predictable. If you follow the rules. What rule did I break? I ask, unable to stop myself. She looks at me for a long moment, then speaks in a voice barely above a whisper. You were seen, she says. That's a rule on its own. My stomach drops. Seen. I knew it. I knew it was safer to be invisible. She gestures to the tray. Soup, bread, tea, please eat. Thank you, I say, though my hands feel numb. She moves to leave, then pauses at the door. Miss Evelyn, she says softly. Yes? Her gaze flicks toward the hallway beyond the door as if she's afraid someone might be listening. Don't wander, she warns, and don't argue with him. The door closes. The lock clicks again. My heart thuds painfully. I stare at the tray. Soup smells like herbs and garlic, rich and comforting. Tea steams gently. I pick up the spoon, my hand shaking slightly. I take a bite. It's good. Too good. It tastes like care, which is dangerous, because if he's capable of kindness, my mind might start excusing the cage. I force myself to eat anyway, because the baby needs it. Halfway through, footsteps approach, slow, unhurried, confident. My spine goes rigid. The lock disengages. The door opens, and he walks in without asking. The Mafia boss closes the door behind him and doesn't lock it, like he doesn't need to. He's changed. No coat, no rolled sleeves. A dark sweater now, fitted, making him look less like a public figure and more like a private threat. His gaze drops to the tray. You're eating, he observes. I swallow, spoon still in my hand. Yes. Good, he says. He moves to the chair near the window and sits as if the room is an extension of his body. I remain on the bed, suddenly aware of how intimate this looks. Me on his bed, him in his chair, like a scene that shouldn't exist. I set the spoon down carefully. What is this? I ask, voice tight. Why am I here? He looks at me for a long moment before answering. Because someone is asking questions about you, he says. My blood goes cold. Who? I whisper. He leans back slightly, one ankle resting over his knee, posture relaxed in a way that feels deliberate. He wants me to feel how calm he is while my life starts shaking. That's what I'm determining, he says. My throat tightens. I don't have enemies. His gaze sharpens. Everyone has enemies, he says. Sometimes they just haven't introduced themselves yet. I swallow hard. Is this because of the horse? I ask. He studies me as if weighing whether to tell me the truth. Then he says, It's because you touched something that belongs to me. My skin heats. I start. You did, he interrupts smoothly. My men couldn't control him. You did. A beat. Tell me, he says. What did you do? I fixed the chain, I say, frustrated. I talked to him. I stayed calm. His eyes hold mine. Why were you calm? He asks. Because I'm used to chaos. Because panic wastes energy. Because fear is loud and I learn to survive by being quiet. I pick one truth. Because if I panicked, I say, he would panic more. He nods slowly, as if that answer confirms something. And you, he says, eyes dropping again to my belly, can stay calm while carrying a child. I feel exposed, like he can see through fabric and bone. I don't have a choice, I say. You always have a choice, he replies. You chose to walk into the courtyard. I chose to help, I say sharply. His gaze shifts, just slightly, something like approval in it. Help is rarely free, he says. My mouth goes dry. What do you want? He goes still for a moment. Then he says quietly, I want to keep you alive. The sentence hits me harder than a threat would, because if he wanted something from me, money, silence, obedience, that would be familiar. But Keep you alive suggests someone wants me dead. My fingers curl into the linen. Why? I whisper. He watches me for a long moment, then stands. He crosses the room with slow, controlled steps, stopping close enough that I can see the faint shadow of stubble along his jaw, the tiny scar near his hairline. He smells like warmth and danger. He doesn't touch me, but his presence presses against my skin like a hand. You're here, he says, because you're under my protection now. I hate how the words send a strange, conflicted shiver through me. And you're under my protection, he continues, voice low, because someone noticed you today. My pulse stutters. Who? I ask again, voice tight. He holds my gaze. My rival, he says. The word rival sounds almost polite in his mouth, like business competition, but I know what rivals mean in his world. Blood, message, war. I force myself to breathe. Why would your rival care about me? I ask. His gaze drops to my belly again, just for a second, then back up. Because, he says, you're soft leverage. My stomach twists. I'm not soft, I say. His eyes flick over me, not in a crude way, but in a way that makes me feel catalogued. You're pregnant, he says simply. And you're alone. My throat tightens. I'm not alone, I lie. He studies my face. Then say his name. Silence. The rain outside is suddenly too loud. My lips part, but no name comes. Because the name is a wound. Because saying it out loud makes it real again. Because the father doesn't deserve to exist in this room. The Mafia boss watches the hesitation and understands too much. His voice drops even lower. Thank you, he says softly. That's all I needed. My chest tightens. Needed for what? He steps back, one controlled pace, creating space like he's giving me oxygen. For my decision, he says. I blink. Your decision about what? He looks at me with that same absolute calm. About how to handle you, he says. The words should terrify me. They do. But they also ignite something stubborn in my chest. I'm not a problem to be handled, I say. His gaze sharpens. In my world, everyone is. I stand abruptly, anger cutting through fear. The movement makes my belly pull, a dull ache in my lower back. I ignore it. What did you do to the man who asked questions about me? I demand. He pauses, then answers with infuriating calm. I haven't found him yet, he says. Yet, I echo. His eyes narrow. Sit down before you hurt yourself. I hate that he notices. I hate that my body betrays me. I'm fine, I snap. He takes one step closer again. Evelyn, he says, and the way he says my name is different now. Less like a test, more like a claim. I hate how my pulse reacts. I'm not your enemy, I say, voice shaking despite my effort. He watches me. Good, he says, because I don't want to treat you like one. My breath catches. His gaze drops to my mouth for the briefest second. Then he looks away, jaw tightening as if he's restraining something. He turns toward the door. I'll have a doctor check you, he says. My stomach drops. No. He pauses. I force myself to speak quickly before fear makes me swallow the words. I don't want your doctor, I say. I'm not sick. I'm pregnant. He looks over his shoulder. In my house, he says, a doctor is not optional. The command lands. But I'm not a child. I lift my chin. Then I'm leaving. The room goes still. His gaze locks on mine. You're not, he says. My chest tightens. You can't keep me here. He holds my stare, calm as a blade. I can, he says, and if you make me, I will. My breath turns shallow. This is the moment where the cage becomes visible. I should be terrified. I am. But beneath the terror, a heat stirs. Anger, yes, but also something darker, something my body shouldn't be capable of feeling right now. Because he's not shouting. He's not threatening with violence. He's simply stating fact, like gravity. And there's something terrifyingly intimate about a man who doesn't need to raise his voice to control you. He steps toward me again, not touching, just close enough that I feel the warmth of him. I don't want to frighten you, he says, voice low. Then don't lock me in your room, I whisper. His gaze flickers, something like impatience. It's not locked now, he says. I glance at the door. He's right, but the hallway outside is full of men who obey him. Unlocked doesn't mean free. I look back at him. You're not protecting me, I say, voice rough. You're controlling me. His jaw flexes. I'm keeping you alive, he corrects. A beat. Tell me, he says quietly, do you want to live? My breath catches at the simplicity. Yes, I whisper. His gaze drops to my belly again. And do you want your child to live? He asks. My throat tightens painfully. Yes. He holds my gaze. Then you will listen, he says. I stand frozen, caught between rage and fear, and the unbearable truth that he's right about one thing. My child makes me vulnerable, and vulnerability attracts predators. He steps back, the pressure easing slightly. Eat, he says. Rest. He turns toward the door again, then pauses. Without looking at me, he adds quieter, no one will touch you while you're under my roof. The words should comfort me. Instead, they feel like a collar. He leaves. This time, the door does not lock. But I don't move. I sit on the edge of the bed, trembling, palms pressed to my belly. Because my life has shifted. I can feel it, like a hinge turning. And I don't know yet whether it opened a door to safety or to ruin.